Hey, it's Tom from Inspiration Metalworks, and it's time for us to pick up where we left off, making these cam plugs for Keith Rucker at Vintage. All right, where did we leave off? Well, let's see. Let's make sure I've got this running here. I have been doing recording after recording and making mistake after mistake, so let's get this right this time. This is where we left off. Now, for the lathe, all right, let's flip this over and we'll make a few changes. I'm in the manufacturer section here. You see I've got my setup. We come in, face it, put that chamfer in, profile, and then I'm just parting it off. So there's a reason for this. Yes, I know I could drill and tap on the lathe. It would be much more accurate that way. However, this is a one-time job and I didn't want to have to completely reconfigure my lathe to run this job. And I just didn't have a good open spot on the turret. I was going to end up crashing a tool. It wasn't going to work. I tried. I really wanted to do this all in one setup because it's, as you can tell, like right now, it's running, right? The machine's running without me. I'm not doing anything. The lathe's just running, and it would be great to have finished parts right then. But there's another reason for it, and that's the VMC behind me is tons faster. And so it can drill and tap these far faster than the lathe would. So even doing it, all right, that's our last part for this run. Even doing it in this method, it was going to be faster. So let's take a look. Let's stop now and let's take a look at what it looks like. Now, to expand on that, let's look at the code, because this is one thing that I've had several people ask about. How do you set up a bar puller and things like that? So let's look at it. I've got zoomed in a little bit. This is Notepad++. So this is mostly code that came right out of Fusion, and then I hand coded a little bit. So right after you get past all of your basic header information, right? I put in a little routine here. Now this is not calling a subprogram or anything else. It is a routine, but basically, O103 tells it to, O something tells it to do something. I'm telling it to repeat, and in this case it's 25 times. And then I put an M1 optional stop. Right? Now I did that because sometimes I leave the optional stop on the control. It lets me make sure everything's working right, validate it, then I turn it off and it just keeps running. Right? Makes it simple. Then you just get into all your regular code, right? So there was a facing, profile, here we're parting, right? So now I've cut everything off, and this is what I've hand coded in here again, the rest of this, right? So Tool 7, I give myself some information about it. You do your tool change. I'm going to a clearance of about 50 thou or 75 thou above the material. So basically it comes up, it comes over, it's going to engage, unlock, pull out, right? So you saw this in the video, right? So I come in, I go to the right height, I go to the right depth. So this is, you know, far enough in that it's going to grip the material, and then I come down and lock onto the material itself. You open the collet, I give it a pause. I'm pausing for 2 seconds. Sometimes the collet takes a little longer than others to fully disengage. 2 seconds is far too long. I know I could do shorter, but this isn't optimized. This is a one-time run. I'm not going to be doing this over and over again, so I'm not worried about it. Did a little bit of math to figure this out. You know, pull it back out to that start point, close the collet again, wait for it to lock, and then I pull off of the material again. I retract the puller, and I park back at our safe G30. Now, we will keep doing this based on the way I have this. It will keep doing this until it hits 25, at which point it ends the repeat, and it comes in, and M30 stops the program. So it's really simple to do. You know, you can add this into your program nice and easy. You can run in subroutines, things like that. I just haven't had the need to do that. Okay, and I'm back. So I went ahead and loaded up the last bar here, got that running. That's the beauty of this, right, is it's running while I'm doing something else. So now you know what the plan is. What's next? Well, let's turn a few more things on. So I just did a pattern of our part. They are 1 inch apart from each other. And so I was able to set this up to where in that pattern we can come in and we're going to, we'll spot it, we'll drill it, and we'll tap it, right? And so the way this works, actually I can run a quick, we'll run it a little on the fast side here. So you can see spot, drill, tap, and believe it or not, the brother is almost that fast, right? I mean, it'll run at almost that speed. It'll probably be more like this, right? I mean, that's pretty close to real time. Not quite, but yeah, we'll do that. That leads us to our last part though, right? How do we get to that? Well, let's turn on my soft jaws. And we'll turn off the bodies. I had to do a real quick setup here, and basically I created soft jaws. I'll do a different video on soft jaws. This isn't the appropriate time for it, but basically it's just this contour, and it comes in and it contours everything out. It does it in a couple of steps on both sides, and I actually ran it twice. Rather than trying to put in special passes or whatever, I just let it run twice. You know, it's the same code, wasn't worried about it, didn't have to think about it, right? It's more about trying to be efficient with my time. And so I was able to just, let it go, and everything seems to be great. So once I did that, I went, we'll go back to this one, we'll turn all these back on so you can see. Basically, our work coordinate system now on this guy is the center of that part. So I dialed that in, and actually I did a little bit of a cheat here, right? So I actually used the inspect command, and I knew my work coordinate system was here at this corner, and then I went over to this corner. It's really hard to get that, right? And I looked at this. What's the X and Y positioning on that? So I manually jogged to that spot, and then I put my indicator on, and I dialed it in, and guess what? It was actually spot on. So I had already put a bunch of parts in, I torqued it down, and I tested it, and everything was fine. So then I just went ahead and set the X and Y 0. I do still have to set the Z 0 on it, but that's pretty straightforward. I'll get that here before I start running these parts. So next up is to actually start running all of these parts, and let's take a look at what that. put it in there. All right, so sorry, I've got one of the Crace camera holders to put inside and get away from all the the coolant. I've got to get a new camera. Apparently mine's too old and it doesn't fit. So anyways, thanks for watching. Here it is. We got it. A bunch of these guys. We'll be going out to Keith Rucker shortly so he can finish it up. I guess the only thing left is you set it on that 76-degree angle, deck it off, and give it that flat spot to register against as you're tightening up, and I think that's it. So I really appreciate you following along on this one. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I will see you again real soon.